What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen of all ages? It's your boy Free John. We're back again with daffyd for the third edition of the BFF Podcast. How are you, big man?
I'm fine, thanks. Another nice afternoon in the UK.
Yeah, after your hair replacement therapy, whatever.
Laser hair treatment, yeah.
Big man, big money man.
Exactly, yeah. Better fucking work. Think about them paying for it.
Yeah, especially if you're lack of job at the minute.
I know, yeah. Good financial planning. Don't come to me for any financial advice, guys.
Indeed.
I lose all my bets to Total and Raiden. And then I quit my job after spending $5,000 on hair surgery.
Yeah, and putting 50 quid up to autism.
Yeah, good point. Although I think Rusty's claimed that already.
For fuck's sake. Alright then, let's get into the matter at hand. Let's talk about the playoffs so far.
Yeah, so I mean, the games have been pretty good. I think there's only been a couple that have been a bit sort of like non-event. I think the Lord Indigol game was a bit of a non-event because Lord had it won in the first half. But apart from that, we've had pretty close. We've had golden goal quite a few times.
Fixers couldn't quite do it against Wolfpack, which I thought they could have done, to be honest, but didn't happen.
And obviously we had a good comeback as well for Predator Eagles against Wolfpack. So that's probably the best game. I mean, that was the best game, but I think Preyer's performance against Enigma was the best performance so far.
That was amazing. My cat has opened my door and then he's just not coming. Okay.
But yeah, I think there hasn't been any major shocks in terms of the fact the three teams that have been eliminated so far were the teams that came 6th, 7th, and 8th in the league. So
maybe Wolfpack losing to Predator Eagles was a bit of a shock.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've still got to wait and see what happens with Lord against Enigma. But Enigma have probably been the disappointment of the playoffs so far. I mean, they didn't look convincing against Fixers at all, and they needed golden goal to win that, and then they got comprehensively outplayed by Preyers, so they've got a bit of a point to prove against Lord.
Yeah.
And Lord have looked good. I mean, I think Lord are a little bit unlucky to be in the losers bracket at the moment because they completely outplayed Predator Eagles, but they got done on the counter.
Yeah.
And then obviously they completely outplayed Indigo, but saw off that one with the goals.
Yeah, actually put the ball in the net, but they still missed a few chances as well. So when you're against the better teams, you got to take your chances as they come.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're all waiting on this Preyers Predator Eagles game now. Obviously, we've got to wait a bit longer because they postponed it to Wednesday because Madness is away or something.
It's in Manchester, I think. Shout out to the Manny Massive.
So I think that's the game we're all waiting to see now, whether this defensive sort of unit of Zorsi and Scray can withstand the attacking movement of Lackey and Kale.
Get a good match. Have you got a date in the diary for that yet, or?
Yeah, it's going to be on Wednesday.
I've got to wait. Will the losers bracket be played by then?
So we should have Enigma against Lord tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah.
And then we should have Wolfpack against the winner of that game on Monday. We should have had Preyers Predator Eagles on Monday as well, but obviously they've had to postpone. So then we'll move on from there. Yeah. Possible that the final will be on Monday now instead of Friday because of the postpone.
We could do it on Saturday or something like that. We could make an amendment, I think.
If it's possible. It'd be good to have it done by sort of this time next week.
Indeed. Oh, I think it's an appropriate time now to introduce our special guest.
Absolutely.
Former big player. He's been around the game for years. Round of applause here for Maddude. Shout out Maddude.
What up, man? How you doing?
You good?
Welcome. Yeah, obviously we've got of course players. Yeah. we're gonna win that league when BFF's finished.
Yeah. Sorry we couldn't beat Kurdistan or get a draw point.
We've poached Subasa from them though. We're making the big brain moves.
Yeah. Getting further and further away from starting though, aren't
I? Join the club. I made a team where I'm third choice goalkeeper.
Shout out Uzumaki. So, Maddude, tell the people at home about how you started Hacksport, because a lot of people wouldn't have heard of you, don't really know that you've been playing Hacksball for a while. So just tell
For
them
a
a bit
while.
about yourselves. Give them your CV.
My CV, could be over years, mate. Well, I started it maybe a few months after it actually got created.
Okay.
I just
Damn.
discovered it on ESL, if you remember that website.
Yeah, that's
Like the
yeah,
ladders
like
and leagues and
esports.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I just saw it and I was like, oh, what's this game? And then I saw it was a free game. Gave it a try and fell in love with it.
Very good.
Yeah,
So
and then,
many years down the line, still out there, Graf.
well, yeah, I mean, the league I created still going. Probably biggest one in the EU on Big now, which is
Mhm.
crazy.
Is that
I mean,
FeedMe League?
Yeah, well, we used to have loads of UK players in the room, so I decided to make a league for us, but it was just free to start for the first 4 seasons.
Oh, very good.
And then eventually I delegated and let other people admin, and they took it and made it even better.
Yeah.
I mean that's kind of similar to how I started and like how BFF came about, because I
That's how you
just
do it. Yeah.
I didn't discover the game till like 2019. It was like February or something. And one of my friends in real life just linked me while I was on break at work. So I tried and it was decent. And then like a few weeks later, I started playing it like outside of work, like at home. And I tried the pubs, but nobody would pick me because I was terrible.
Yeah.
So I worked out by hosting, I would get picked. And then that stopped working. So then I always played GK to get me picked because nobody wanted the GK. So by hosting and being the GK, I managed to get picked.
And by joining Brexit Slabs as well. You got
Well, yeah,
competitions.
Yeah, well, that was a few months later down the line. Once the like say like Yasuo and July and Frank were all playing regularly in the room, we all first graduated at Brexit Slabs, and then when you threw us out of the team.
What happened there? What happened there?
I mean, that's natural progression, really, isn't it? You start playing the game, you're playing in pubs. Someone who plays in a league recognises you and says, "Oh, look, we've got a league. Do you want to come play along?"
Yeah. And then BFF was sort of born out of all the people that came to my private Discord, the Daffy's Futsal Discord. We had plans for it, and then obviously it just accelerated massively when HFL got deleted.
Yeah,
Yes, that was the big league, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Shout out
that was.
Raiden.
Yeah, Raiden and Subasa were running that one, and then Raiden had some sort of mental breakdown.
In voice chat with me and Dennis. It was hilarious. He had Alu Akbar and then deleted the Discord. I'm not even joking. This guy's like, "Bonjour, do I delete the HFL?" And Eric's saying, "Yeah, go on, mate." Not thinking he was bluffing.
Because up to that point, BFF was just sort of like how sort of IFL or Futsal Freaks is now. You know, it was an okay league, but the quality wasn't amazing.
Yeah.
And it was like a side league to most players. You know, we didn't have the best teams or whatever. And then as soon as that happened, people just seemed to choose BFF as like the.
I was going to say, when I saw it was called British Futsal Federation or whatever, I was like, it's not very British. It's quite EU.
I mean, we do everything like European time and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the planning for it was mainly done by like British people. I guess like the original admin team. Yasuo and Kanoa, myself, Bennis. So.
Yeah, the record is an admin, weren't he?
Yeah, Lyrico, and then I got Smurf and Hatake to join a bit after, and then we launched, and just kicked on from there, basically.
Yeah. I think lockdown's done the South a massive boost as well.
But yeah, another thing we want to discuss, Maddude, is how what your experience was of the league. Obviously, this is the first time you've played here. Joined HDM, which were like a struggling side, if we're going to be generous.
I mean, I did get offers from others, and I could have probably been playing in playoffs, but I didn't really want to take someone's spot on that starting lineup, really.
Yeah.
Or
you didn't want to end up like Raiden playing the entire season and then being benched for the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I joined because, well, I didn't mind playing with them, and the Elo Cube, obviously Elo Cube is a lot different to matches.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was good fun. Just a few weeks of playing.
And obviously, at first, you had your buddy Aero was there with you.
Yeah, we don't talk about that, really, do we?
But he decided to fully quite early on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's waiting for next season, really, which is fair enough. But
so we've sort of heard from you that you got sort of plans to make your own team for next season.
Yeah, people keep asking me what I'm doing. I'm like, well, I'll probably apply a team with people I like to play with because
Hmm.
that's always been the most fun for me when playing the game. It's playing with people I like. And
Indeed.
normally I have to captain to get them all together and sort them
Yeah.
out.
I know
But
just about that.
we have seen like quite a steady influx of FeedMe players in the last few weeks. You know, like joining the Discord, like posting in the searching team, like people like Mish and White obviously joined the
Oh
Discord.
yeah,
And
that's it. I mean, yeah, hopefully people see the videos, see people like more known names for them playing it and
Yeah.
decide to try it out. I mean, this is why for
and
a
obviously,
team next season.
I think Lyrako's video of like the season
Oh
highlights
yeah, that was
is
brilliant.
it's a good promotion for the league. So we
Yeah.
should be able to use that in a few different places to try and coax more people in for season 3.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna try get people who haven't necessarily played in the league before because I don't really want to start poaching teams, players, and stuff like that.
I mean, it can work. I mean, you look at some of the players like Roz, for example, in Enigma. You know, we'd never seen him in a futsal league before, and he comes straight in, like DM for one of the best teams, and his stats are pretty much like unrivaled for DMs. You know, so
Busted.
Yeah,
you don't necessarily need to have a great experience of futsal to be successful on the map.
no, that's true. I know some of the top players don't even tend to play friendlies or anything. Just turn
No,
up in
no,
matches and maybe one
and
before, which is
yeah,
crazy to
that's
think about, really.
yeah. You have some teams like Lord that are playing friendlies like all the
Oh
time, and
yeah,
interns like all the time, and then you've got others like Enigma that just turn up for the officials. But it's just down to what you want to do, really, isn't it? Like,
that's it. I mean, I think some of the if you're gonna get more known players, they play in other leagues and like well, feed me as well. So they don't really want to spend so much time practicing another map.
yeah, exactly. Like obviously in Hacksball, like most people are playing multiple maps now. You know, you got hockey, you got slow ball, real soccer. Like most people are playing at least 2 or 3 of those at any given time.
Yeah.
So they're not going to necessarily donate like their entire time to learning a new map.
Yeah, and the skills
Right.
are pretty transferable as well. Like if you're good in big, you're going to be good in futsal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
you
the main
just
difference is just learning like the tactics and the positions, isn't it? Like,
yeah, because you have to play more. Well, completely different in certain positions. You can't press as quickly and stuff like that. But I don't know.
it's less
Find it
about the
a bit more
spam battles.
rewarding. Yeah, well, that's it. I think moving from big to futsal, you then think, Jesus, I have so much time to do anything with the ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
that's
I
one
mean,
of
you
the
see,
things,
like,
and just the speed of the game is nice. I think in
yeah,
big
that's
you
it. It
can get
does
a bit
make it,
bogged
yeah.
down with like a sort of a 20-minute nil sometimes.
Well,
Can't
that's
you?
why I kind of fell out of love with big because it just becomes about defense and how you defend corners, and it gets stuck in corners for ages, and
Yeah.
you know, it's not so much fun. I mean, futsal feels more rewarding, but also more punishing.
Yeah.
hmm
If you see what I mean.
Yeah, like you can be like you can attack for like 5 minutes straight in futsal, not break someone down, and then you play
Yeah,
one
that's
bad
it.
back pass and they're 2v1 in behind them. You
That's
suddenly
it. You've got to be
you
able to keep the
suddenly
ball well,
Yeah.
and I think whereas on big, you've been defending for ages, you can just kick the ball to the other corner. You know you're going to then still be able to attack. Whereas on futsal, you kick it to the corner, and the goalkeeper's got it and countered you already, and you got to keep the ball.
Yeah.
yeah. So in terms of HDM, what was like the atmosphere like in the team? Like obviously they were down near the bottom of the league. Was it a bit doom and gloom, or were people just sort of
No, I
casual
mean, not
about it?
really. Titus was always saying, "Oh, come on, we've got to win this one. We've got to win this one. Let's go through it." Everyone was sort of happy, like in the team chat. I know that that I know of.
Yeah.
I don't know what the PMs were like, but you know,
It's always a
people
different
flaming me,
story.
maybe I don't know, but yeah,
Well, Blah was, but he's normally like that.
Yeah, blah. We need to win this. We need to win this. Ban this player. Get an ult in the league. Get the ult in the team. Even. That's
Yeah,
what Blah's like.
get clean sheets over a game.
yeah, that's it.
Loves his clean sheets.
Oh, he never got one with me playing.
So yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see like what kind of like how the teams react when, because obviously there's quite a big skill gap between the teams, sort of like 12 to 16 as compared to like the top 4 that we're seeing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
how they can sort of cope with playing in those games and like getting beaten up sometimes, whether they can,
Yeah,
you know,
feeling
just say
hopeless a bit.
fair enough, they're just better. We'll focus
Yeah.
on our more winnable games, or whether obviously some teams just disband straight away. Like we had a team called G Dominatory at the start that was like it was mainly like hockey players. I mean, they all have experience of futsal, but I think they got battered by Predator Eagles or something, and they quit at halftime and disbanded.
Yeah.
So
It was blamed someone else. It's not my bad, it's your bad, and then stop playing.
yeah, it's like that really. So some people don't have the mentality to get beaten, so that's kind of like what you have to think about when accepting teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite impressive that you have the amount of teams that you do, and they're all, but most of them are still going at the end of the season.
I mean, we finished 15 out of 16 finished.
Yeah.
So, well, maybe 14 as AC Milan sort of bunked out the last week.
Yeah,
but
just couldn't get players on the pitch. That was
but I think AC Milan were one of them teams that are having such a high turnover of players all season. As soon as I closed the free agents, because I didn't want people just to sign people, purely for the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly, and people making alts, and because that would happen. Because
people
just want to play.
Because if you take, for example, like, I know they wouldn't have done it, but a team like Scream, they finished 6th place. Say they could have found, like, say, players from Big, for example.
Yeah,
they could have, like, signed 3 or 4 of them, and then suddenly had some kind of, like, meta team that hadn't played all season. So I wanted to make sure that wasn't possible.
Like Israeli Smurfs mates with that P4 guy.
Yeah. I mean, I know Scream wouldn't have done that. I'm just using that as an example, but that was my main concern.
Yeah, I think having so many teams going to the playoffs keeps teams in like that mid sort of tier still trying to fight for it till the end of the season.
Exactly, that's the thing. Like, obviously in HFL, it was always about just who comes top. And when we created BFF, we wanted it to be different to HFL, just to give the people like a different like league format to play through. So obviously,
I've always enjoyed playoffs. I will always argue for playoffs.
Yeah. Especially if you haven't got like a sort of like, because in real football you've got the European leagues where, like, so if you get top 4 it's worth something, but in a normal league there's no like you can't go to play, you can't go to Europe, you can't, so it's pointless coming third.
It's also very unlikely that you'll have a competitive league right till the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a team that just rockets away.
I mean, if we had done it in the old format, I mean, we would have still had a good title fight. The top 3 are like still 3 points within each other at the end. But for everybody else in the league, it would have been. I think that was one of the reasons why I think we get a lot of disbands in futsal.
Yeah.
Because if you're sat in like 11th place with 10 games to go in a league where it's just first place or nothing. Like, you've got nothing left to play for, except unless you're just playing for the fun of it.
And all the good players will then start to just transfer into the top teams to try and fight. So yeah,
exactly.
It's a good format, I think. And I think playoff matches are always quite intense, especially to play in.
Yeah, it gives more people more want to play. Like if it's one important match, or if it's a league match, I don't think you can hype yourself as much. But if it's a playoff,
and that's when you see how good a team truly is in my eyes, when they're facing elimination or nothing, or a win even.
I think we've seen the pressure certainly get to Wolfpack, for example, in this. Obviously, because they went in as obviously in the old format they'd be champions, so they go in with the most pressure, I guess.
Well, everyone's thinking they'll win every match, sort of thing. Oh, this will be the 2 teams in the finals, but
and they looked shaky in the first match, even against Indigo, and then obviously they threw a 6-3 lead against Predator Eagles, and then they went 2-0 down in a minute, didn't they, last night?
And I feel like the league as well, they were always losing. They were always conceding a goal in the last minute. They were always. I mean, they did it against us, but we bottled even worse. We should have joined that game 3-3, but we all decided to press one player in the last 10 seconds and then cause a 2v1. Like,
quality.
Prime Brexit slabs that, but anyway.
Yeah, and obviously I know some people don't like it, but we did the double elimination to sort of create more matchups, instead of just each team having 2 matches. Like, I wanted to see, say Prayers, for example, they've played against Scream and then they played against Enigma, whereas now they'd be in the final, whereas now they'll have to play Predator Eagles, and then they'll have to guarantee themselves to play one other out of Wolfpack, Enigma or Lord. So you see more matchups between the top 4, top 5 teams. So
yeah, no, that's true. And if you're coming from the lowers as well, you've got that sort of underdog feel. Like, you're literally playing to not go out. Whereas if you're in the top upper bracket, you're still coasting a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a little bit less pressure. So Predator Eagles can go into that game knowing they're not out if they lose. But I wouldn't like going into the final game, which is essentially a best of 3 where the winner starts 1-0 up. Like having to beat any one of these teams twice in a row is going to be extremely difficult to do. So I think whoever, like the winner group, so whoever wins that, whether it's Preyers or Predator Eagles,
Yeah, it's definitely a big game.
they're gonna have a huge advantage, and they'll be big favourites to win the entire thing. So there's a lot riding on this game on Wednesday.
But there's also a much more to the mental side when it's this double elimination, because if you're in the final and you're from the winners bracket, but you lose that first match,
Yeah, then that's when the
yeah.
pressure really plays into it. Yeah,
You're thinking, oh, am I gonna bottle this? Am I gonna bottle?
That's it. People will definitely call you jokers if you lose that.
What I don't know is whether we'll play the 2 games back to back, because
you've got to surely.
I think we'll try and do it like that. Yeah, but obviously the mental states can be, like, especially say the team that was like the winners group team were like leading most of the game, and then they get pegged at the end and like golden goals or something. Like their mentality will be all over the place starting the second game. So
you've got to hope for an amazingly long overtime though. It'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean we have had one crazy long. Yeah, in season 1, like it was like a 10-minute golden goal. It was like crazy. Like we had another game to do after it as well, didn't we? We're like, come on, please, just score. But yeah, it was like crazy, that one.
Yeah. I think we were bored shitless that match.
Yeah, because it was all just defending, wasn't it? But yeah, it's one of them. So I think we can probably go into our last topic now.
What's that, Daffy?
Which is just the general future of BFF. Obviously, it's been a little bit sort of
Oh, and my internet's gone. Oh, for fuck's sake! Wait, let me pause the recording. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. We're gonna get back to it. Yeah, Daffy, let's go.
Yeah, so obviously the future plans for BFF, they were a little bit undecided for the last few months, mainly because of I wasn't sure if I wanted to personally keep going as like the main admin, purely because of the amount of work that goes into it, the amount of free time that I have to sort of give up, and the fact I was working 12 hours like on a lot of the days, including some of the match days where everybody's like PMing me like, can I have a host? Can I have this? Can I have that? And it just get a bit tiring. But as we've discussed earlier, I have now stopped doing that job, so I do have a bit more free time available, which means, and as basically, I thought the only credible option to be head admin instead of me was Greery, just because of the amount of work he's been doing for the league as well, with like the hosts and everything. And because some of the other admins, like they're good admins, but they're not necessarily suitable, for like the lead role. But Greery didn't really want to do it because he doesn't like the amount of PM spam and stuff. Like he just likes to mute people and like get on with what he's doing, which is fair enough.
Yeah. I don't think you like slabs as well, so I'd have to smack you up a bit.
Well, yeah, that's true, but obviously slabs have quite a few defenders now in the admin team. With Frank has joined us to be the stats person.
Yeah.
So obviously,
dismiss Hatake leaving. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but that's very sad news. He's stopping at school.
So obviously, for people who don't know, the admin team will be a little bit different next season because Hatake's quitting the game, so he's obviously decided not to be admin anymore. So he was obviously the principal stats guy. We've got in Frank Grimes take over stats, as he's obviously a data analyst in his real life, so he's very good with all the stats and etc. And obviously he's going to be working with Greery, who's producing the auto match reports that are going to have stats in anyway, which should make for like better stats, and like it gives you a better read on the stats instead of just saying Yasko scored 92 goals, he's top scorer. Yeah, you can sort of see like goals per minute or half or whatever, and
passing success, we would have seen that.
Yeah, so we're going to see possession, like action zones, so you can see like who was like camped in the other person's half more.
The heat maps.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to, and a few other things that we've got lined up as well that Greery's managing to do. So big up to him for he's putting in plenty of work behind the scenes as well. So thanks to him.
Indeed.
And obviously the other thing that we want to say is, as we're going to have a break of about probably 6 to 8 weeks maybe after this season ends, in that break, if you are craving more Hacksball and more futsal,
I think we need a drum
we
roll
are,
for this.
we're going to host a Nations Cup,
Ooh.
which will be obviously 4v4, the same format as what the league's been. I'm not sure how many countries we want necessarily.
Yeah.
Probably we're gonna keep it with the league sort of mantra and go quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So even if we just have 8 quality nations, that would be fine by me, you know.
I also think for this you need to have clear rules for who can play for what nation, because if you saw what EFC did.
People are gonna obviously try and get around it somehow, but obviously, plus I know people quite well, so I feel like I know
Who's
sort of
80%
80% of sort of who's from where, and I'll know when they're lying.
Yeah.
But I think my personal thing is it should either be the country where you live or the country where you were born.
Yeah.
Like obviously, people might have other sort of things they want to throw into that.
The country where your parents are born. So I don't know.
Well, yeah,
say July,
yes.
His parents are Turkish, so can he play for Turkey or?
Well, yeah, these are the things that we need to go over.
Yeah.
But obviously, yeah, I'd say if probably as he can, like, he's fluent in Turkish and everything, you'd probably say, yeah, he does qualify for that. So these are the kind of things we need to go over. But my initial thing would be where you live or where you were born. And then after that, we can sort of get into the sort of the
nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Do you know what sort of format you'll do? Like a group round robin? Sort
of so I'd say we got 8 teams. You might have, say, 2 groups of 4, and then the top 2 from each one make semi-finals. And then you can extrapolate that if we got like 10, 12, 16, however many.
I think you should do a Swiss group. Have you seen that format?
Oh yeah.
I think
Swiss,
Counter-Strike. I think you should do something a bit different, because you always see the same formats. Always see the same format. So it might be spice it up. I don't know how long it would take players to get their heads around it. Cause
that's the thing. I mean, double elimination I thought was easy, and yet nobody understands. Literally, I had some people saying, like, you know, the losers group that was just playing for 3rd place and stuff like that. That's like, no man, how are you getting this so wrong? Like the tree even says, like, you know, like, losers of this game play this, but people seem to have trouble understanding. So we'll see. But formats are always decided, you know, when you know how many teams you've got. Otherwise, it's a bit of a waste of time. So yeah, Nations Cup on the way. There'll be more information about that in the Discord pretty soon.
That's good to know. And what format do you reckon you're going to go for the season 3 of BFF?
Well, so we won't go for 3 match days a week again. Obviously, this season was specifically designed to be a bit longer, a bit more of a grind, if you want to call it that. Hopefully, it was fun as well.
It's been a really good season, I think, personally.
But obviously, we were all in lockdown from March when we started. And obviously, people have gradually come out of that towards the end of the season. But I thought, as people are mainly home all day, they'll want more, you know, opportunities to play. So we did the 3 match days and the 2 legs to the season. So I think in future, especially if we had 16 teams and we were doing one flat league, so everyone's against everyone, it would probably be 1 leg instead of 2.
Yeah.
Because I think 30 games would probably be a bit much, especially if you're doing 2 a week, because then you're talking a 4 or 5 month season. That's getting silly.
People get bored of it, yeah.
I think this season, I mean, we're at like 3 months now. So I think that this has been about right, like, in terms of the ultimate length. And then if we're starting in September, obviously you want to be finished by Christmas. So
because it's finding the balance of keeping it important. Because if it's a quick league and it's over in a month, no one really cares about it.
Plus, I like to reward teams that have, like, you know, that level of longevity. You know, they're like not teams that sort of turn up one week, they're playing every day, and then they just disappear and go inactive again. Like, I don't want that kind of team, you know, to be successful. I want, like, well-run teams that can get the same group of players to every game. You know, and you know, because you can look at like this transfer still and some teams have barely made a transfer all season. You know.
Yeah.
You know, the likes of
the Italians, right? They've been together.
Yeah, exactly. You've got a group of people who always want to play together. Like, they don't need anybody from outside, and it just works for them. So, and then obviously you have the other types of teams, like HDM, for example. They've made tons of signings all season. Like it's been like a big sort of revolving door of players in and out. So it's different. We try to make it possible for all styles. We gave people enough transfers so they didn't get just so you didn't have needless disbands, I guess.
What day of the week would you cut out?
It would be the Friday game, I think. I think once people are like going back and socialising and that,
Once
people
clubs
are
are back
tempted.
open.
that makes
You see me on a Friday night, rude boy.
Exactly. People want to be out on their weekends, don't they? So I think Monday and Wednesday is a good match days, and then we'll see. In terms of Nations Cup, I've no idea. Probably the same, but we'll wait and see. We'll probably try and make it a bit more sort of compact, so there's more games, going on. Yeah. So maybe we'll have like matches, maybe most nights, but like different teams playing, just to try and get like the enthusiasm up. You don't want a Nations Cup to go on for 2 months either. You want that to be done in like a month, to be honest.
2 weeks maximum.
Yeah, like more like a pre-season cup sort of length.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good question. Will you do another pre-season cup next season, or?
Yeah. Pre-season cups are always good for us as admins to sort of judge teams, because sometimes teams apply and they're like, looks like this team look like the real deal, and then in pre-season they completely fall apart. So it's better. So that's one of them. And then there was that team that I don't know if you know these guys like Taziek and all them.
Taziek.
They applied with Disneylanders for pre-season, and then they just didn't turn up. So, if we didn't have one in a pre-season cup, we would have accepted them for the league, and then we'd have had a disband from day one. So it's important to weed out teams. Plus, some teams like you look at this one and think, oh, maybe they're okay. We'll give them a chance, and they turn out to be completely rubbish. Yeah. So I mean, like Savage United.
You're not always looking at skill, though, aren't you? You're looking at how they.
It's like a combination. Like
activity.
You don't have to like be a team full of world beaters. If you turn up for your games, you don't cause loads of problems, and you just you can be reliable. Like take Brexit Slavs, they played all 30 games. Yeah, okay, they're not the best, but they played 30 games. They had some competitive games in there, and I was never worried about them disbanding. Whereas some of the others, like Equalists, even though they were good, I kind of felt like they were going to disband at any given point.
I'm amazed they stayed for that long, to be honest.
And I know Pathan was considering jacking it in at half time. It would have been better if they had, to be honest.
Yeah, could have got a replacement or something.
Yeah, we might have been able to do something instead of going back and having to go back and change results and stuff. But it happens, and you just got to deal with it when it does. But yeah, I'd say that's probably about enough for this.
It's been a good podcast. I expect to see the next one probably after playoffs.
Yeah, we could probably do like a proper season review, playoff review. Maybe get an interview with one of the champions, like a player from the champions, to see how they're enjoying their success and stuff.
That'd be a good idea. We also should a charity match. I think we should do at the end of the season as well. You know what I mean? You should get Ben and Tina to play.
Ben and Tina. I want to be on Tina's team.
You should have an admin match.
Yeah, maybe.
Frank Team Daffy.
Yeah. Well, I think whoever got Guiri would win.
Especially if Take's not playing anymore.
Plus, we've all seen Bennis's abilities. So yeah, I think we'll probably wrap it up there. Thanks to Maddude for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks very much. Yeah.
And we'll catch you probably on the next stream, I guess.
Yeah, see you later, people. Bye.
Thanks. Bye now.